Hi, everybody. It is episode 552 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. You know, I didn't mention it last week because Drew wasn't here. Good job 2 weeks ago.
Hey, thanks.
Well, thanks. We
Yeah.
did our best.
You guys got most of the intro and outro correct.
Yeah, we do what we do.
Yeah.
You do it all.
I very much Ron Burgundy'd the intro without even having looked at the date and all. It's like, fuck.
Which I have absolutely done in the past, like forgotten to update like the number and like set it. And I'm like, no, wait. Huh?
Yep.
So yeah, because like I had started to update the document earlier in the day before I got the message about Erica's family.
Right.
And like had not gone back to it. So
and I had seen like other stuff was clearly updated. I was like, oh, okay, so it's all updated, and didn't even look at the top until we set, and it was like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah, but like I did not listen to the whole thing, but like I skipped through it to get like the timestamps and all, and hey, you guys got all the important bits and pieces, and frankly, like you went longer than I expected.
Yeah, we wound up having stuff to talk about.
Yeah, initially it was just like, yeah, we don't really have anything to talk about, and then it's like hour and a half later, you guys found shit to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Sea of Thieves just had their new thing. Talked about hopes and dreams from Monster Hunter because that was a day before it came out or 2 days before it came out. And so yeah, we had stuff.
Yeah, good times. Now before we actually get started, I do have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Opinion question. What would the two of you say is like a good RTS that would probably play okay on a Steam Deck?
The second part makes that hard.
It does.
I've never played many RTSs with controller. Halo Wars was built around controller. I don't know if that's available on Steam, but Halo Wars was built around controller.
That, you know what? I forgot those games existed.
Yeah. I don't know if they're available on Steam, but that's one of them. And
the Halo Wars Definitive Edition is $20.
There you go.
Nice. And it is Steam Deck verified.
I think, yeah, something like that. Maybe, I don't know. There was a Lord of the Rings. You don't care about Lord of the Rings, so never mind.
Yeah, no, I fucking hate that series.
There was a Lord of the Rings RTS for a while.
Actually, I just reinstalled this. Hold on, I wonder if... I don't think they put controller support in the Command and Conquer remasters.
I forgot they remastered those.
Because like the first Command and Conquer and the first Red Alert came out on like PlayStation 1, so they had done controller stuff for them at some point.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about that too, actually.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. They consider Anno 1800, which is a city builder sim game, also an RTS because there is like battle and strategy stuff to it. I played that. I liked it. It's only $5 on Steam. Shouldn't be too terrible when it comes to controller support.
Yeah, and that was really the thing. Like I looked at a couple of them, and like, yeah, like they are not good on a controller. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it'll make more sense why I was asking once we get into like the first thing on the agenda. But yeah, I was just curious if either of you had any like recommendations for like ones that would be decent with a controller. Just like unfortunately, like the only laptops I have would not play it, and I don't want to sit upstairs to like play those games.
Yeah, I mean the unfortunate thing is real-time strategy has become sort of a niche genre of gaming. At least to me, like I don't see them as often as we used to. That I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't played an RTS in a long time.
Yeah, and I know like Blizzard has like the two of the biggest, but like those are locked to the Blizzard launcher, which is not available on the Steam Deck without probably having to jump through all sorts of hoops.
Yeah.
I also have no idea how those would play on a controller.
I mean, yeah, that too. But like that's one of those things where like I think I own StarCraft maybe. Like if it wasn't a huge hassle to get them on there, I would at least boot it up and see, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some of the old Dawn of War games. I must have gotten them in like a Humble Bundle or something like that. And I tried loading one of those up, and like it turns on, but it is so tiny. Like I was getting like a headache just trying to like get through the menuing.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, because like it's RTS, like they're point and click, that those particular ones didn't have any controller support. so you had to use the touchpad on the Steam Deck to like move it like a mouse control. And like in the game's defense, it was not marked as playable on Steam Deck. I just gave it a shot because like sometimes games are playable even if they say they aren't. Like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I don't know if it still is, but for the longest time it was labeled as like not playable at all, and it runs totally fine. Like there's no issues on there. Versus like Gotham Knights, which had like an exclamation meant like it was playable, but like there would be like some like issues, and it was usually like text size or like having to invoke the keyboard. Which that game just crashed every 15 minutes.
You know, I'm going through Steam and I searched up just the RTS tag, and some people are very
generous
with the RTS tag. Frostpunk is one of the games on there. That's a city builder survival management game. That is not, to me, when I hear RTS, I hear war game. Like, yes, this is a real-time game. It's strategy for resource management and things like that, but it's not like a strategy in the concept of let's go to war and let's like protect our base. It's let's figure out how to defend or how to survive as long as possible kind of thing.
You know what, though? I guess, like, by the actual definition, like you just said, it is an RTS. It's just the cultural acceptance of what an RTS is. Are, like, more like battle-ish games, like Warcraft, StarCraft, Command and Conquer.
I mean, and on that front, there's a game that I have on Steam, like, that is, like, a community city builder resource management game that could be a good RTS. It might be good or I have it on Epic, which is probably available on Steam. That could be considered like a good RTS. I can't remember the name of it right now. I gotta find it, and so I have to go through 12 pages of my Epic library to find it. But it's like it's a post-apocalyptic game. Oh man, when I find it, I'll be so mad at myself for not remembering the name. But it should be close. Should be close. Nope, I'm on page 7. Man, this is a much newer game that was on Epic than I expected.
I always forget Epic is even a thing. Do I even have it? I do. I have the Epic launcher. I don't know that I've ever launched it.
Surviving the Aftermath, that's what it is. And like, back when my company got hacked, I spent like 4 straight days playing that, sitting at my computer, waiting to hear if I could do work or not. And it's a great game, and there's city building, and then you can go out into the overworld and explore the overworld. And then you can, like, attack raiders with your heroes and things like that. It's really neat. I like it. It might be considered RTS. Like, that would be... I would consider that an RTS, but it's more... Again, it's more a city... Not even really, but kind of a city builder. It's more of a city builder and survival sim than it would be an RTS, but it is... Under those pretenses of what we were just talking about, it is an RTS.
Okay. Interesting. And is that on Steam? Because you said Epic, right?
I'm 99% sure it is on Steam.
What was it called again?
Surviving the Aftermath. So yeah, it's on Steam. The only reason I haven't gotten it on Steam is because I have it on Epic, and I'm never going to play any of the DLC, so I don't really care.
I mean, that is totally fair. I just wishlisted it because it's a little expensive right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Well, with that out of the way, Rich, what's on the agenda?
On the agenda, Cobb, you played this game called Nice? Oh, you read a book called Play Nice. Okay, see, this is where reading comprehension takes place. I saw Play Nice, and I thought it said play the game. Like, you read a book called Play Nice, The Rise and Fall and Future of Blizzard Entertainment. The
word red is in there, too.
I just saw play. I literally just saw play, and I saw, oh, you played a game called Nice, and I was going to mock that. And then, like, I actually read it as I was reading it. I played this indie game published by Annapurna called Cocoon. And then I also played a board game this weekend called Space Base, which I'll get into. But before any of that, Drew, did you watch the movie last week?
No.
No!
I couldn't get it free anywhere.
So was there not, like, there was... I believe you, but, like, there was no way to get, like, a free trial?
No. Stars has a $11 a month for 3 months deal.
Wow. Like, every other one of those services, you can get, like, not always a long trial. So, like, I forget which one it is. One of them has a 3-day trial. Like, it's basically, you can watch one thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it even had a 3-day, I would have done it, but everywhere I looked, when I like even just Googled Stars trial, like their Stars trial website is like, oh yeah, it's what I think it was $10.99 a month instead of whatever I guess their normal price is. And I'm like, yeah, no.
I wonder if it's one of those like they only offer trials through like other services, but in order to do that, you need other like you know what I mean?
And
like
yeah, like I don't think we have Apple TV Plus to then like have gone that route to find a trial for it.
yeah, because like I think when I looked it up initially, it was showing as Stars on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
But I think like the only way that works is if you have Apple TV Plus, and then you can get a trial of it. I'm trying to actually find on Amazon if there's like
Maybe it was a $5 rental fee.
Wait, am I paying for Stars right now?
You could be.
It might be.
So I'm on Amazon and it says included with your Stars subscription. Like what? How do I find subscriptions in Amazon?
You click subscriptions over at Amazon.
Yeah, I'm looking for. There it is. I'm looking at the menu and I just could not find it. Subscription. These are not the subscriptions I was looking for, everybody. These are like auto send. I hate this website. There it is.
You look at subscriptions over at Prime Video.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now. Fuck, have I really been paying for Stars? I rented Children of Men. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, so did I. It was only $5.
So
$6.
funny enough, Children of Men, at least right now, does not show that it was listed as like a thing. Yeah, man. When did I do this? Why did I do this? Oh, I am glad this came up. I did something back end of last year. It was on Stars, and when I went to cancel the trial, they're like, "Hey, we'll give you 3 months for $1." And I said, "Sure, why not?" Then promptly forgot that we had Stars and have not used it since. But I am going to turn off auto renew now so that it expires in 8 days. So thank you guys.
Well, there you go.
Well, I wanted to know Drew's thoughts on the movie because I was really interested to know your thoughts on the movie.
I mean, I will say, like, while I haven't watched it, like, that is a movie that I was interested in, and I am slightly annoyed that I couldn't find anywhere that was, like, a reasonable price that I wanted to pay. And I also wound up not, like, having a shitload of extra time to have watched it, but...
Yeah, I almost, like, it came down to the wire for me to watch it. Like, we ended up having just enough going on that I think it was... We recorded on Wednesday last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, like, Tuesday. Like, Erica got home, and I'm like, hey, do you mind watching this? Because this is the first chance we've had to watch something. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll just play Steam Deck if I don't like it. Mm-hmm. But it would have been one of those, like, real tight, like, get home on Wednesday and, like, try and watch it before we record otherwise.
No, I watch it during work because I just kind of don't care anymore.
Yeah,
I really don't care.
The last few weeks for me have been a ton of on-site stuff. So, like, I have not been working from home often, which means, like, I don't have time to, like, watch things during the day. Because that's what I used to do that, too. Like, anytime we would watch a movie that I knew, like, Erica just would absolutely not care about, like, I'd watch them, like, during the day. It's also why I was trying to get caught up on Cobra Kai. Have not had a chance to watch it in 2 weeks. So, yeah. But we hired somebody. So I should have more time to be home soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should be able to watch more movies during work.
Exactly. Because, like, I don't mind, like I can pay attention to a movie while I'm doing most of the things I have to do. Like, there are occasions where I have to, like, really pay attention. But, like, a lot of the stuff I have to do is, like, click and wait and just, like, make sure it works after it's deployed. Mm-hmm. Which, like, is not all that different from watching a movie and occasionally playing on your phone.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. Shall we move on to the first real thing?
Yeah, Cobb. You read a book about Blizzard.
I did. So Jason Schreier, he writes for Bloomberg's gaming part thing. I don't know what you'd call that, imprint. He used to be at Kotaku for a long time. He's like the guy that gets all the scoops. And he's written a couple other books about like game development. Like he wrote one, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which was stories about different games, like developments and like the ups and downs of those games, and generally like ended in like the success of them. Like one of the big ones that was in there was Stardew Valley. Like he told the story of like Concerned Ape and like him developing Stardew Valley and kind of like all the delays and stuff that game had, and how like that dude is now like a multi-millionaire after like basically not being able to find work for 2 years and just deciding to make his own game because of it. And then he did another one that was Press Reset, which was about like game studios that, you know, maybe found like early success, but then fell apart and had just either flops in games or just like studio mismanagement. And then like the stories of like some of the people and how they went on to like found new studios from there. One of the big ones there was, what was his name? Not Ken Levine. Who's the guy that did like the Curiosity game, like that cube game where you're supposed to end up in his next game that never came out? Was that Ken Levine?
Peter Molyneux?
Yeah, so like there was a Peter Molyneux story in there. Drew, who's the baseball player that used to own a game studio?
Fucking Kurt Schilling.
Yeah, what studio did he own?
It was like 38 something. So
Yeah.
it was his jersey number. I forget exactly what it was, but
there you go. It was stories of like studios like that, like where, you know, they had good stuff going, but then either mismanagement or just bad games just kind of like collapsed the studios in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And now earlier this year, or last year, I should say, in 2024, he released this book, Play Nice, which is the rise and fall and future of Blizzard. And it was actually super interesting because he did start at like the beginning with like the guys that founded Blizzard and kind of how that came to be, some of their like early games that people don't talk about anymore, leading into like your Warcraft and your Starcraft and into World of Warcraft, and then into like acquisitions where I actually forgot that Vivendi used to own them. And then and then they also owned Activision, and then Activision like bought themselves and a bunch of other assets out. And it was like really around the time, like reading through this book, around the time that Activision kind of took over with Bobby Kotick. It's really where Blizzard sort of like, it's not that their games necessarily dipped in quality, but it's where they kept hitting like major issues. Like Diablo 3 was, I think, the first major release after that whole thing. And like, while like Diablo 3 was fun, like it definitely had some issues at launch, like not being able to play it for the first like 8 hours. And then like I know there was like all sorts of issues with like the auction house early on, and like I want to say like Drew, didn't people like not love like the end game or the maybe just like the gameplay loop at the end game or something like that?
Well, yeah, it was kind of a mess because like the like legendary items in Diablo 3 at launch were basically non-existent, and so to really get into any sort of end game stuff, you needed to get strong weapons, mostly from the auction house, which was real money, and yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, and like reading through this book, like I remember the real money auction house being like a mess, but like reading through the book, like the Blizzard side of it was they were trying to make something that was more useful to the player. And apparently they're like, and this was after Activision bought them. Activision's like financial team actually told them not to take like a cut of the auction house, or like to take a very small cut compared to what you would normally expect a company like that to do, because they wanted it to be beneficial to the user to use it, to then like drive more people to play the game and buy it, since it wasn't a live service game or anything.
Right.
And like they had all those issues with World of Warcraft where people were like doing like gold selling and stuff like that because, you know, resources are hard to get in games if you don't have like unlimited free time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like overall, like Schreier's really good at like being pretty even about stuff. Like as much as you can be, really. Like by the end of the book, like you see that like Activision was definitely like a big hurdle and problem for Blizzard, and drove out most of like the senior people at Blizzard that had been there like in the early 90s when like Blizzard kind of became the brand that people thought of it. But like they themselves just had issues with like moving people into like the right teams and like actually like exploring games. Not exploring games, like they kind of gave people a little too much like, hey, like spend time just trying something. And then if it worked for the team, they would like put a lot behind it. Do you guys remember Titan? That eventually became Overwatch.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's kind of what that was. That was them trying to do a thing. And same thing with shit. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the other game. Heroes of the Storm. Like they were trying to iterate on the MOBA because that's what they had like successfully done before. Like Warcraft was them iterating on a different RTS that I think it was actually a Lord of the Rings RTS from the 90s that had like they played internally and had fun with, but it didn't have like multiplayer or a few other things they were looking for. So like that's what they did with Warcraft, and then World of Warcraft was them iterating on like EverQuest. And Heroes of the Storm was supposed to be them iterating on the MOBA, and that game didn't last super long. And then like by the end of the book, it does start getting into like all like the scandals and stuff like that kind of like happened in like early 2020s. Like what was it, like 2019 to like 2021 was when a lot of like the like sexual harassment and stuff like that was coming out about Blizzard and Activision as a whole. And it sucked hearing what people had to go through there. It was also kind of interesting to hear like some of the things that made the most like headlines were things that were just not right or like misinterpreted by like the media. So like, do you guys remember there was that picture of a bunch of like Blizzard people that they were in like a room with like a picture of Bill Cosby?
No, I don't.
Vaguely, maybe. But
so there was like part of like all of that stuff coming out about Blizzard. There were like a bunch of like these like emails and stuff like that got released about like a group of like Blizzard developers or something like that, referring to one of the hotel rooms that they stayed at for E3 as like the Cosby room, because the carpet looked like a Bill Cosby sweater. And at one point, like a picture surfaced of these guys like holding a framed picture of Bill Cosby in this room because like it matched like the carpet on the floor. It turns out all of that stuff predated any of like the Cosby stuff coming out. Like he had not been outed as like a huge scumbag when like that picture and stuff and those emails were sent, and the media just didn't pick up on it. So like,
gotcha.
While those guys like may have been involved in shit that like is gross, seemingly that not all of them were, and a bunch of them have basically been blacklisted. Like they can't find jobs because of that. Like one guy sent a message about like picking up a hot girl. He was talking about his wife who also worked there that he was going like to dinner with. Like, and now he can't find a job, or at least can't find a job in like gaming because videos, or not videos, like the pictures and like all that stuff got released and leaked by people that like rightly had reasons to leak some of this stuff, because like it was pretty obvious that there was some really shitty like sexual harassment and stuff going on at Blizzard and Activision as a whole. Like I'm pretty sure that was the one where Bobby Kotick actually had he forced somebody to like send an email that he wrote, like forced like a female employee that was like higher up in management to send an email he wrote saying that none of the stuff was true. Like that guy sucked. And he seemingly was like the crux of a lot of stuff just coming to a head at Blizzard too. And like people kind of getting away, like not getting away with stuff, but like pushing stuff that they probably shouldn't have, that weren't originally part of like the Blizzard like brand. Like there were people that were brought in by Activision in like management roles. But even then, like a lot of this book does touch on the fact that like Blizzard in like the 90s and 2000s was like all guys. So like when the few women did come in, like it was tough for them. Like they were getting paid less. They had to deal with guys being guys, and unfortunately like being hit on in the workplace, which is just super shitty. But it was just really interesting read to like kind of see like the good and the bad of the company. And like even now, like the end of the book, like the future of Blizzard, like there aren't a lot of people left that were like from like the 90s, like when the company really like started. But it seems like they do still want it to be like, they want Blizzard to be like the company that it was known to be. And like maybe with Microsoft owning them, like that'll happen. But like at the same time, like what do they have left? Like Diablo 4 came out and people seem to like it, but like you don't hear people talk about it really anymore. Like Drew, do you play it at all?
I've tailed off. Like I bought the expansion, played the new expansion stuff. Then there was another season started after that, but I haven't hit max level in the most recent season, so.
Yeah, and like Overwatch people are like super down on because it's not what people wanted out of Overwatch 2. Because it's really just Overwatch with one less player on a team.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But overall, like, if you like kind of getting like inside stories from like game development and stuff like that, Schreier's books are really interesting, and this is another one. Like, it's all interviews and like firsthand accounts and him like telling their stories in kind of in as much of a narrative as you can. So it's not like actual like interview format. But it's like quotes and explanations from the people that were actually there. And in a lot of cases, it's multiple accounts of like the same or similar events. So you're not just getting one person's like very narrow view of things. And yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope he does another book because
Yeah,
yeah,
he's good.
yeah. And like I don't always agree with the way he reports stuff. And I hate that all of his shit is like paywalled at Bloomberg. But yeah, like these books are super interesting, and he, like I said before, he is very like even with them. Like when something is obviously shitty, like you can tell like he is not being like biased against it. Like he is telling you all of the facts and kind of letting you make up your mind for it. And I appreciate that because yeah, I don't need to be force fed like how to feel about a thing. But Rich,
Yes.
how was Cocoon?
Cocoon. That was an interesting game. It was fun. It was different. So in an attempt to just figure out new content and games to play, I decided to do like indie game Mondays. Stuff that's like shorter that I can probably beat in 1 to 2 sessions, things like that. And Cocoon caught my eye over on Game Pass, and so I decided to play it. And you're a little beetle guy that plays with balls.
I actually didn't know that was a Game Pass game.
It is. It's a Game Pass game. But yeah, you're this little beetle guy that like I don't really know the story. I don't really think I'm sure there is a story, but it's all implied in some way, shape, or form, or I'd have to go searching for it to understand what it is. But it is just straightforward a puzzle game. You go and you run around, and there's just these little balls. Like most of the things that you interact with are just orbs and spheres and orb-shaped things that you can grab and pull and move around. There's little buttons that you can press that'll like activate stuff around the world and jumping around. And you start off in this orange land, and as you're running around the orange land, eventually you like get to a platform that you can leave the orange world, and you end up being in was it the white world it was the white world that was next that you ended up being into, but you actually don't get to run around with the white world's orb until much later into the game. And it's basically you then run around and you have to solve puzzles while carrying these orbs one at a time and jumping into those worlds and activating different things in those worlds to the point where like once you finish everything in the orange world, it gets the ability to make bridges at certain points throughout the game. So you have to cross these bridges in a certain way to get to from point A to point B to figure things out. Or the green orb can like make what was it? It can make like there's these like spaces that if you activate it turns it into a pillar, and you deactivate it drops the pillar, and you can move up and down from activating those at certain points. The purple orb, if you grab, there's like little like mushroom people that like if you grab it that turns into the purple orb, so you can place it in one spot, go to another spot, grab it, that purple orb disappears, and it becomes the orb that you the purple orb at the mushroom guy you picked up. And then the white orb can like shoot a laser and stuff. And the whole game is figuring out figuring out these puzzles and getting from point A to point B, and putting an orb into a station to be able to jump into the world, to grab the orb that's in that world so that you can move around with 2 of them, popping out back into the overworld to use its abilities, or like swapping the orbs and putting one into the other world so that like you can still walk around with one. So like there's a lot of times where I had the red and green orb, and I needed the green orb to activate its abilities. So I had to go into the red orb, grab the green orb, take the green orb out, swap those, go back into the red orb, go back into the green orb, drop the red orb, pop out of the green orb, grab the green orb, and then start running around. And it has this little orange tint inside of it that's indicating like, oh, you have both orbs on you. Because if you don't have both orbs, you're not going to be able to progress after a certain point, because you can only jump into the orbs in certain stations. You can't just freely jump into each orb. There's a few like little minor boss fights, nothing major. They weren't too difficult. Honestly, the hardest part of the game was one of the end sequences where it was you would shoot your laser at an enemy and then go back and forth, and you'd have to bounce the laser back a number of times, and I kept failing that. It was a pain in the ass. But yeah, I really liked it. The art style is really cool. It was a quick game. It only took me about 3 to 4 hours to beat.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get all the achievements. I got stuck on a few. One of the cooler puzzles was a much later puzzle. You get to a certain point where throughout the game, when you get to this point, you go up to a location and you place 2 orbs on these buttons, and when they activate, a door opens. And say you're in the purple world. This door opens and now it brings you into the red world from the purple world. Where instead of having to go through the portals to go in between, you can just walk through this door to get to a certain point in that world. So that's what it was. I was in the purple world. I placed the 2 orbs down, and I got a green world. And then I had to figure out how to, because the first thing you need to do in the green world is use the red orb's ability to make a pathway through to get into a certain point of that world, so that you can then activate the some buttons. And eventually the puzzle ended up being solved by going into the green world with the green orb in the red orb, placing the red orb, and then going to the platform to leave the green world, which by leaving the green world would be taking me into the purple world. So I needed to have a way to get from the purple world to the red world, to grab the green orb, to then go back into the green world with its own orb, and basically have like an inception of an orb in its own world, which is like, it was a pain in the ass to figure out. I still don't understand how I figured it out. But it was just like,
those puzzles get so like,
yeah, like
obscure.
It got to a point where like I was running around trying to figure it out, trying to understand, because it's like, I'm in the purple world. The white orb is on the other side of this bridge I can't get into. So I needed to get out of the green world, but grab the green orb, or have the green orb with me. And I'm still, as I think about it, I'm just like, I don't remember how I did that. And then it was a whole sequence of being in the green world with the green orb, and realizing that like, if you teleport out of the green world from the green world, you're going just to where your orb is. So placing your orb in strategic points to then like be able to move around and then teleport back to where that orb was, to then be able to complete more puzzles. It was really cool. Some of these endgame puzzles were like crazy. It was like a lot of times while I was playing the game, I was just like, man, that is a good puzzle. That's interesting. That's really cool. And like most of the times it'd be like real quick, like, oh, I see what they're trying to get me to do. Like I'd fail it once or twice, and then I'd be like, oh, I see what they're trying to get me to do. So one of the cooler puzzles was in the green world. There was a platform that you can place one of the orbs, and then you can circle it. Or no, it wasn't a platform you can place one of the orbs, but it was the platform that you use. Hold on, I'm trying to remember again. It was a trigger in the middle of a platform that you can move around, and that platform is a platform you use to get out of the orb. So what you had to do at one point, because you're running around with the white, the green, and the red orb, is you needed to set up the white orb in a spot that's going to shoot into that it will actually shoot into the red orb. And then you have to have the green orb placed in the red orb in a certain way, to where your laser that goes into the green orb then goes into the red orb, then hits the trigger to activate the action on the outside at the white orb's area. And it was just like, oh, this is like one of the coolest things ever. I didn't think that this would be like something you could do in this game, like having things go through. It was just like all 3 worlds were actively active at the same time, which was really cool. You just had to
Actually, pretty cool.
You had to be able to dive into them. And yeah, oh, that's right. There was one where I had all of the orbs inside of the white orb. So yeah, it was white, and the white orb would shoot the laser, which would hit a mirror and reflect the laser back into the white orb, which would go into the white orb, which then you would have to be set up in go down to the red orb. And that red orb would then have to go into the green orb and then hit the trigger. And then it would just sit there and it would like keep shooting constantly. So you would have to wait for the rotation to happen so that you could take the platforms up and down to be able to do what you need to do or get to where you need to get to. And I was like, this is really fun. This is really cool. This is calming. Like, puzzles weren't too incredibly difficult to make me frustrated or annoyed. The final sequence of the game is straight up figuring out how to place all of the orbs in a stack set to the colors of a final statue, and then placing that one singular orb right next to the statue and activating it so that each color is in that orb in the so like if it's like green, purple, red, white, you have to have green in the purple, purple in the red, red in the white, and then place the white on the platform.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was a lot more in depth and interesting than I was expecting, and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I saw it was either I think it was last summer at Summer Games Done Quick. Someone did a run of it. I thought like it looked like a really cool game.
Yeah, it really was. There's a bunch of like cool little critters and stuff that fly around in the game, and yeah, just like a bunch of cool stuff that you have to figure out. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought about trying to get the all the achievements or trophies or whatever, but that would require me to play through the game again to get the handful that I missed, and I just don't feel like playing through the whole game again.
Yeah, that's always the bummer with those things. Is like, yeah, like it's great, like you're almost there, but in order to get them, well, you got to do the whole thing over again.
Oh yeah, and it's because it's secret things that you can find while you're exploring the worlds, and like you can't go back. Once you reach certain points, you can't go back into the world. And that's where it was with me. Like if I could have gone back throughout the whole game, I would have just like looked them up once I beat the game, looked them up, and then found them. But instead now it's like I would just get a guide and have it guide me through which ones to get, because I don't remember which ones I got. I don't know which ones I got, so I'm just going to have to get them all again.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you said it was Game Pass, right?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It was good. It was fun. So yeah, I'm trying to find other indie games or smaller games to play on Mondays right now while I'm still doing Monster Hunter twice a week. But also on top of that, I thought about trying Avowed on Mondays, but I don't want to get into a big ass RPG at the moment. I feel like that game would be fun. I just don't want to play a big ass RPG.
That Indiana Jones game is on Game Pass.
It is, and I have heard decent things about it, I think, but I don't know. I just don't really know if I want to play. I don't know what I want to play right now is really what it is. Outside of Monster Hunter, I don't know what I want to play. But I don't want to burn myself out on Monster Hunter. So it's like twice a week with off and on throughout the week if I have time. Is it plenty enough for me at the moment? Since we're waiting on content drops and whatnot, I'm fine with playing once or twice a week right now. Once everything comes out and we have like a true end game for Wilds, all right, maybe I can play it more, or maybe
you should get in a flight simulator.
I thought about trying Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I don't know if I want to do it because it also feels incredibly boring if I don't have like a full flight setup.
No, you just got to get super into it with like the minimal setup.
No. There was a Reddit story a couple years and years ago, of a guy who got upset. He worked he was a manager at a fast food restaurant, but he had logged hundreds and hundreds of hours into Microsoft Flight Simulator, and he's read all the books and gotten like he's good enough to test to be able to be a pilot, basically, and he's done all the practice testing and everything, but he's not a pilot because he's never actually done the test. He doesn't have a license, none of that stuff. He's never done any of that physically. He's only ever played Microsoft Flight Simulator. And his wife introduced him at a family party as like a work party as like, oh, he's a manager at a fast food restaurant. And the husband got incredibly mad at her because he's like, she knows I don't like to be called a manager. I'm a pilot. It's like, no, you're not. You're not a pilot. You've never flown a plane in your life.
Yeah. You might know what all the gadgets do, but like that is not flying.
Yeah.
Have you played Ghostwire Tokyo?
I have not played Ghostwire Tokyo.
That is on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass. I've seen it.
I've heard that it's not bad.
Yeah, I remember it when it was coming out, and I remember it like getting like mixed reviews, but like because it kind of got repetitive, I think is the issue.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There's also Psychonauts 2. That game was fantastic and fairly short.
Yeah, but like then that takes away from the idea of Also with Ghostwire, those aren't indie. So it was it was
like Psychonauts was kind of indie.
people. Psychonauts is like a name people know now. Like, and that was I don't know. I like yeah, people know Annapurna, but people don't know Geometric Interactive, who developed Cocoon. Like, people don't know what Cocoon is.
Cocoon's actually more popular, I think, than you realize.
I mean, probably, but also like that was the first time I ever heard of it. Was when I played it
like
Monday.
When it launched a couple years ago, like every podcast I listened to, like everyone on them was like super into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's what, like you said though, like it's relatively short, so like it was one of those like everyone talked about it. I think it made like a bunch of game of the year lists, but like once you're kind of like past that, like it's not a game that like comes up too much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about Carrion. That's a Devolver game.
I've seen Carrion. I've thought about playing Carrion. That game looks interesting.
I'm just scrolling through Game Pass right now.
Yeah, I know.
Did you play Tunic?
I have played Tunic.
I'm
pretty sure I'm the one who told you to play Tunic.
No, I'm pretty sure I played it before you did.
I'm pretty sure I told someone here to play Tunic. If not you, then Cobb. If not Cobb, then
I knew about. Like I played it as soon as it launched on Game Pass.
Yeah, I
played it before it was even on Game Pass.
Like I played it on probably about a year ago to the T. Like,
okay.
Have you ever played Diablo?
If not a year or two ago. No.
Have you played this game Diablo 1?
No, thank you. I'm good.
It's on Game Pass.
No.
Diablo 1's real good.
It's from this tiny little indie studio.
Yeah, I'm fine without that.
Oh, the original Psychonauts is actually on Game Pass too. What else we got on here? Broken Age. That's kind of an indie game. I feel like that wouldn't be super fun to play like on stream though, like a point and click adventure.
I mean, honestly though, at this point, like it'd be fun. It'd probably be fun for me if I like it, but like it doesn't really. Like honestly, the way numbers are going on stream lately, it doesn't fucking matter what I play. I'm still not pulling in any numbers. I could be playing Monster Hunter, still streaming to 1 or 2 people. I could be playing an indie game, still streaming to 1 or 2 people. I could be playing Sea of Thieves, still streaming to like less than 5 people. Like Sea of Thieves is probably my biggest nights. It doesn't matter what I play anymore. No one comes to my streams.
Have you played Unravel?
I do own it. I believe I own it. I know I own Unravel 2 on PlayStation.
Those were really good games. They're technically indies because they were from that like EA indie initiative.
Mm-hmm.
I never played the second one, but the first one was really good.
Yeah, I think at one point I might have started playing I might have both of them on PlayStation, and I know I might have. No, I have Unravel 2 on PC. I might have Unravel 1 on PlayStation. I might have them both I might own Unravel 2 on both. Because at one point I was planning on playing it with someone I was seeing, but we never got around to being able to actually play it.
Yeah, I mean, if you do need just like another short kind of like platformy sort of game, it's not like hard platformy. That game was really good. Like the art style and all, with him being like a little yarn dude, was great.
Yeah.
So
like I thought about, but I don't even own it, but I'm sure it goes on sale often. I thought about giving Celeste a try, but then I also realized that I would probably rage too much when playing it.
Yeah, no, don't like Celeste is a fantastic game. You will hate every fucking second of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you get mad at like Mario, and Celeste is Mario turned up to 100.
Oh, I totally forgot that I downloaded a free-to-play mascot horror game recently that I never played.
Is that like something like a Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff?
It's called Indigo Park. That's the genre now, is a mascot horror. It's like the Five Nights at Freddy's, the like what was the Christmas one that I played a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right.
Last year. And then the Poppy Playtime. It's all like in that genre of mascot horror. I think you can even count what was the Sesame Street one? I
have no idea. I didn't know there was a Sesame Street one.
Played it recently. Happy Neighborhood, I think, is on Steam. Then I have it.
Yeah, I did not realize that was like a genre though.
My Friendly Neighborhood. Yeah, because it's mascots and it's horror. It's mascot horror. It is its own like genre now. Like Five Nights at Freddy's started it, for sure. But it's gotten like I've played a bunch of them.
Nice. Yeah, not after you started like kind of like saying, I'm like, oh yeah, you have actually talked about like a bunch of games like that.
Yeah, and there was one I got on got on Steam that was a free to play recently that I completely forgot came out last year. That I now have just since lost while going through my Steam, but it's fine. But yeah, so yeah, I really liked Cocoon, and I'm trying to find a bunch of other games like that. But also, I have this game called Lost in Random, which is from the developers of that game we saw last year on the PlayStation stuff, where it's like all what's the word? Why am I blanking on the word?
Those words are hard.
Yeah, claymation. It's the claymation looking game.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So the first game they made was Lost in Random, and I own that, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll play that because that's like more of a story driven game. But I think that would only take like 2 to 3 sessions to beat, depending on how long it takes for me to play it and whatnot. But at the same time, like I don't know what I want to play at the moment. I'm just playing games. But maybe I'll actually get is Ender Magnolia out yet?
I don't think so. I think it comes out in like May. I might just be making that up though.
Nope, it's out.
Oh,
it's on my wish list, but it hasn't been
I was
on
making
sale.
it up.
Yeah, it came out in January.
Nice. Well, there you go.
So I mean that's an option once that goes on sale to play that. Like probably thinking about trying to bring back some of the Metroidvania Mondays. I have a few of those that I never played. Yeah, just trying to figure out what I want to play while I still just want to play Monster Hunter and
Mega Man X7.
No. Honestly, I love the Mega Man games, but after I tried to play Mega Man 0, and that game was just not good. I just don't care to play Mega Man again. I just don't. Like I love the Mega Man games, but like if I play Mega Man games again, it'll be Mega Man, a regular Mega Man, and then Mega Man X up to X5. That's it. I won't ever play any other Mega Man game outside of that.
What about Battle Network? You didn't try Battle Network.
I mean, I would do the BattleNet games, but they're all RPGs, and I've played too many RPGs lately.
When was the last time you played an RPG?
Last year.
Yeah, that's not lately. That was a year ago.
No, like literally. I'm trying to remember what I've played recently. I know I've done like a big RPG recently, but like recently
a while ago.
When I say recently, I say within like 4 months, meaning like recently when it comes to streaming. But at the same time, like, I can't remember what my last RPG was. Let's see, Armored Core, and then before Armored Core was, we were playing, I was doing a lot of Monster Hunter World and Immortals Phoenix Rising. I mean, technically you could say Monster Hunter Wilds is an RPG, because that's under the RPG tag. I mean, World was at least. Let's see.
How about Persona? When are you going to start playing Personas?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into Persona.
Man, that could be like years worth of streaming though.
Exactly. Right, I did do a lot of World at the end of last year. Star Ocean Second Story R was 6 months ago.
Okay, that feels like so much longer ago than that. I thought that was like this time last year.
Nope. That's when we rolled credits was 6 months ago. Does it have the actual date on it? August 27th, 2024. That's when I beat Star Ocean Second Story R. And prior to Star Ocean was Final Fantasy.
Yeah, look, you did have a stretch there where you played a lot of them. But in my head, you haven't since like this time last year.
No, it was well, I had a lot of Mario Odyssey going on.
Yeah, that was like all
because
summer.
Because it was most of summer. And there was a lot of like throughout last year, I did a decent number of just like one-off streams. I had Pacific Drive for a bit, but I didn't because that wasn't a good Let's Play game. But yeah, I mean there was Final Fantasy, and then the year before, or like I had had played a lot of RPGs recently, and that's why I'm kind of burnt out of RPGs. I'm kind of burnt out of open world games a little bit. This is why I want to do a lot of these like indie games. Because it's like, okay, I can beat them quick, and I can knock a bunch out real fast. Play like, and this is why I'm doing Monster Hunter as well. It's like, it's a comfort game. Monster Hunter is a comfort game. Sometimes that game can drive me absolutely bonkers, but for the most part, it's easy for me to get back into.
Sense. Now, tell me, is Space Base a comfort game?
Space Base is a really fun game. I just want to make
Is
sure
it
I
a
have.
comfort game?
I mean, I can't tell you whether or not any sort of board game could be considered a comfort game because there's so many variables. Even if it's a game you love, there's so many variables as to whether or not like you'll have a good session to tell whether or not that would be a comfort thing to you. Even just based on how many who you're playing with and how many people you're playing with, like it's hard to say whether or not a game would be a comfort game. It was a fun game though. I liked it. So what that was it's an engine builder game. The whole game is based around victory points, and the whole idea is for you to gain credits and money throughout the game, increase your economy, so that you can buy cards that you need. So that every time you roll die or somebody else rolls a die, you gain things. So each card you have has numbers on it. You roll a die, and so you roll 2 die, and you can either take, say you roll 6, a 1 and a 5. You can either take the 6, or you can take the 1 and the 5. That's what you can do with the cards that you have. Everyone starts with 1 through 12, and then as you play the game, you start buying cards to update things and change things. The cards that were already on your board then get flipped and stuck under your board, so that when other people roll those, you can then pull them. And it varies between every time 1 gets rolled, you get 5 credits, to every time a 12 gets rolled, you can get 5 victory points. And the whole point of the game is to get to 40 victory points. Once the first person reaches 40 victory points, you let everyone else who hasn't gone that round play, and then once everyone else has played, you determine who's the winner based on how many victory points. If like more than one person went over 40, whoever would have had the most victory points at the end of that round. And it was really easy. It was really quick and easy to learn, for me at least. I love the idea of an engine builder game. It's easy. It's an easy loop of roll die, see what die you can do, see what cards you can buy, see what actions you can take from the dice roll, and move forward. I ended up winning because I actually had a really good setup where I had my 10 card slot gets me 7 victory points. My 10 slot gave me 7 victory points. My 9 slot had the ability to go to had the ability to do either the 8 slot or the 10 slot. And my 11 slot had the ability to do either the 10 or the 12. And my 12 slot had like 4 victory points on it. So anytime I rolled basically a 9, 10, 11, or 12, I was getting victory points. One of my cards that were set up for the other players, every time somebody rolled a 1, or the first time somebody rolls a 1, I can charge that card. And then when it comes to my turn, I can use that charge to pick a die, one of the 2 die, and choose a number of my choosing that die will be at when I roll. So every round, once I got to a certain point, because people were for some reason rolling a lot of 1s, every round it was like, all right, this is charged, I'm going to use that. This is a 6, roll my other die. I had to roll a 3 or higher every time to get victory. And like I had 3 opportunities to get 7 victory points every time I rolled. So I ended up, once I like got that pattern going, and every time somebody rolled a 1, I would charge. No matter what else it would have given me, I would charge. And I ended up winning. It took us about an hour to get to that point, maybe less, because we were teaching and stuff. But once I got to the point where I had my setup, it took me like 3 or 4 rounds. Because it was just like, oh, this is how this works, and that's how that works. All I have to do is this. And just 6 and roll the die. 6 and roll the die. If I rolled pretty much a 1 or a 2, it would have very good benefits for me, but I wouldn't get victory points. I would get like money. I would get like credits, or I would get like, I think my 8 would be, if I rolled an 8, I could pick 2 cards that are tier 1. And you don't have to, but you can pick up the 2 cards that are tier 1 and take them and claim them for yourself and put them and organize your cards the way you need to organize them. But I ended up getting very lucky. Those last couple of rounds is like set to a 6, roll a die, get my thing. Set it to a 6, roll a die. I was like the next couple of rounds is like set it, roll it, not buy anything, go. Set it, roll it, not buy anything, go. Set it, roll it, not buy anything, go. Like my last round, I ended up like rolling what I needed, and then just for the hell of it, because I had like 15 credits, there are cards that you can buy that will give you victory points, but they go over one of your number cards. And if that number if you roll that number, you don't get anything else. It's a one-time use that you cannot replace over. So I ended up just buying that my last round just to solidify, like, okay, this is my winning. Like I had like 50 something points at the end of the game.
Nice. So
Yeah.
It sounds like this one you didn't mistake the type of game. Like that one. Remember that one that like you were playing it thinking it was the deck builder and it turned out to like not really be, or vice versa.
Game I thought was a deck builder that ended up not being a deck builder.
Yeah, it was one of the games that you got to like demo, like the Ancient Ruins game.
Oh, the game we played?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean they told me that it was a worker placement engine build. It's a combination of the two. Well, I that's what I was told. I've never prior to then I had never played or understood the idea of what a worker placement game was. But this is Lost Ruins of Arnak Light, basically. So Lost Ruins of Arnak
That was the name of the game.
Yeah, it's you have the engine building where you can you buy the cards, you buy your card, and maybe as you play the cards from your hand, you can keep pulling more stuff, keep moving your characters out. That's your engine. And then the worker placement, it's a combination of two game types. Generally, a worker placement would probably also be an engine builder, but an engine builder isn't always a worker placement. This is straightforward, just an engine builder where you're building up how you get your points and how you're building your engine by buying cards as other people roll.
Right.
But yeah,
So,
it was
yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I really liked it. It was neat. My friends brought it over for our game night. We were going to try to play yet another game that I have from PAX that I've never been able to play, that mob game that I got 2 years ago, and I still have not been able to play, but didn't realize only 4 players, and we have a group of 5.
Don't you that is the worst when you have like a tabletop game and like you think that it'll play a certain number of people and then you flip it over, you're like, son of a bitch, we have one too many or one too few. Or
like, and that game specifically, like, I mean, I guess I haven't really paid too much attention to it. Like, I don't know how to play it still. I never got to sit at a demo over at PAX, so I've never been able to play it. But like, it's like Clue, where you kind of have to figure out what's going on, kind of thing, based on whatever cards aren't being played or you're not seeing or you're not getting or something like that. I don't really know. So like, it kind of would still work to be able to have more than 4 players, but I think there's only a certain amount of cards to where like you can't have more than 4 because the others that are left are the ones that are doing the thing that you need to track or figure out. And so if there's more than 4 players, then there's only 1 card left, and it's going to be easier to figure out or something. I don't really know. I've wanted to play this game forever. I've pulled it out now twice, but every time I've pulled it out to play, it was like the first time I pulled it out to play, it was 11 o'clock on New Year's. Everyone was either had drank a bit or was my one buddy is incredibly allergic to cats, and and Benadryl stopped working for him, and the house we were at, they have a cat. Yeah. So like his allergies were acting up, so he wasn't in it to learn to play, and it was like 11 o'clock on New Year's. And then this time it was like, oh, this is only 4 players. I thought. So one of these days I'll finally be able to play that game. One of these days.
You're gonna finally get to play it, and then it's gonna be terrible. You're like, I waited all this time for terrible.
I mean, Drew, I think you might have played the game with Potato once. I know he has it.
Sorry, what was
Big
it?
Shuffle, I believe is what it's called.
Ooh, no, I think he might have brought it to my brother's, but we never played it.
He says he's played it at least. So,
well, I know a while back he was looking for game recommendations because for like holiday family travel stuff. So
yeah, so I don't know, but you might have played. But yeah, I want to play the game. I have so many games that I own that I've never been able to touch, and it's a pain in the ass. Like I said, I have a Godzilla board game that has jumped states with me, and I brought it to Ohio, and it's still never got to play it, and it's just sat in my car for the past 4 years.
Yeah, every so often you mention that. You're like, it's in my car. When's the last time you opened it?
God, if that game's damaged, I'm gonna be so upset. But I mean, I don't think it's. I don't think.
Plastic
Wait,
warps and melts.
I know, but I don't think the plastic is good enough. The plastic is nice enough that I think it'd be fine. But yeah, I haven't looked at that game in forever. I don't know. I don't know. It's the pain of being someone who likes board games. You don't get to play the board games because the one person you used to always play board games with refused to play games that he didn't own because he had a ton of board games. Even if you said, "Hey, I brought some games that I got for Christmas, I would love to play," and he's like, "Well, I have a million games, so we're not playing your game." And now it's just like, all right, well now it's all right. I have a group of 4, and we don't get to play. And then, I mean, we just started branching off into more than just the what's it called? Legacy games for us to be able to play some of the games I have.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
assume it's your brother you're talking about.
Yeah, he refused. I would be like, hey, I brought this game. Well, I have got 100 games. I'm like, okay, but I have a game that I got for Christmas 2 years ago that I've not been able to play. Can we play this? No, I have got a million games. All right, whatever. It's kind of why I stopped going to his house to play board games.
I
Plus,
mean,
also, we had to cater. You have to cater to everyone. Like, I'm not saying I'm mad that we had to cater to everyone, but no one ever wanted to play the games I wanted to play. And I didn't want to play the games they wanted to play. So I was just like, all right, well, it's just no point coming here now. But yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. Space Base, it's a fun game. Check it out. We also played Mexican Train Dominoes, because my cousin is lame and likes weird games, likes basic games like that. And I dominated for a bit and then had a round where I got 90 points and I'm now almost losing. I had 3 rounds of 0 points because it's like golf. You have to have the least amount of points. If you go out, then you win that round, and you have to play 13 rounds to get a full game in. But yeah, I had like 3 rounds of 0 points, and then I had a round of 30, and then I had a round of 70, and then I had a round of 90. And it was just like, oh, well, I went from first to last. That sucks.
That is how those things can go, that's kind of like what makes them fun too. Like,
Yeah.
you can be doing super well, and all of a sudden, just like one bad round, and all of a sudden you're fucked.
Yeah. It's just nothing worked out for you that round, and that sucks. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. Well, anything else either you guys want to talk about?
Nah.
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Same. I'm gonna try real hard to watch Cobra Kai this week. I do have some like home time for like project work like between now and next Wednesday, so I'm hoping like I can have it on while I'm doing that stuff.
Yeah, I was hoping to have like a decently free weekend this weekend, with the exception of game night. But friggin' daylight savings kicked the shit out of me last week, and still is. So I have a lot of editing to do this week. So I'm probably not gonna have free time this week, unfortunately.
That's fair.
Yeah. I don't know why, but daylight savings just hit me like a truck this year. Well,
Like I didn't know it was daylight savings. So like Sunday morning, like we're doing stuff, and Eric is like, "Hey, I updated the clocks in the kitchen for like the microwave and the stove." I'm like, "Oh, why did we lose power last night or something?" She's like, "No, it was daylight savings time." I'm like, "Wait, so we didn't get up at 7:30? We got up at 8:30?" She's like, "Well, I mean, yes, kind of."
technically, yes. Yeah, like that's so it was Friday. I mean, also Friday I edited a video. This is the other thing that like really messed me up is I did a video for the vlog for Saturday for playing Betrayal at House on the Hill that did not perform well at all. And that took me 5 hours to edit. Because I had to edit it, cut some audio, whatever, and then record stuff, and then make sure it all worked. And it was a lot of trying to figure out what would work and show the story of the game, but also talk about the game, and then figure out a way to get it to be cut down to less than a half hour. And it took so long to figure that out that like that 2-hour session ended up taking me 5 hours to cut together, because I basically had to rewatch most of it as I was cutting it. And so, like, I was expecting to be able to edit, like, 3-4 videos that day.
And one video later, you're like, it's time for bed.
One video later, I was like, all right, I got to get at least one more done. So I I did another vlog video for this week. And then Saturday, I ended up sleeping in because I ended up staying up a little bit later. And then Sunday, I didn't get home from game night until 12:30, 1 o'clock-ish, because we ended up playing until about 11:30. I accidentally. Like, we started Space Base at like 10, or like maybe like 9:30, 10-ish, but it just took us a little bit longer to play that. No, we started at 9, and it just took us a little bit longer to like teach people how to play. It took a bit longer to like get into the game and for people to understand how to play. And so it became 11:30, and it takes an hour to get home from my cousin. And I'm like, man, this sucks. So I get home and I don't get to sleep right away, but I try to go to sleep right away. And then it was just a rough night with sleep. Chase was restless and being a pain in the butt, waking me up and then being a butthead. And I ended up waking up early because of daylight savings and then not being tired till 2 in the morning from Sunday into Monday. And it's just messed me up.
These things happen.
Yeah, daylight savings is killer this year. Maybe we just shouldn't do it.
What happened to no longer doing daylight savings?
Well, you see, the thing is, the Gulf of Mexico is more important. We have to change the name of Gulf of Mexico.
You mean the Gulf of America?
Yes, exactly. That's the only thing two things I will dead name till I die is the Gulf of Mexico and Twitter.
And Twitter will die long before you do.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, that's more important is the Gulf of Mexico than, like, stopping a thing that really makes no sense anymore. That really didn't even make sense when it was enacted either. And the fact that, like, my manager has to remind us every 6 months, hey, by the way, I live in Arizona, I'm not affected by daylight savings, so our meeting time is going to change.
Because that's your manager?
Yeah, they have to remind us every 6 months that, like, they're in Arizona, so Arizona doesn't experience daylight savings time.
Yeah, it's the only state that doesn't, I think.
Yeah. So our weekly meetings, or bi-weekly meetings on Tuesday and Thursday, are during the winter at 9 o'clock in the morning, and during the summer at 10 o'clock in the morning, because she has to clock in with us no matter what, but some of her scheduling gets mixed up and messed up because of that hour.
Why don't you guys just always do it at 10?
Because it's because, like, she has meetings after it, but it's meetings after it at normal time, not at her time. So she needs to do it, like, during the winter, she needs to do it at 9 because has a meeting at 10. But during the rest of the time, she can do it at 10 because she has a meeting at 11. Like, if that makes sense. It's weird, but, like, yeah, she has a meeting directly after it, but because her timing is different. Like, it kind of is helpful as well, because then during the winter, she gets an extra hour that she can get stuff done in the morning before having the meetings. Whereas in the summer, she loses that hour I don't know. Yeah, she loses that hour because she gets to wake up an hour later, but because she has to work hour 8 to 5, even though she's in Arizona. She has to work hour 8 to 5 because we're all East Coast.
Which means she's up at 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning or 4 in the morning, depending on the time of year. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it would be 5 or 6 in the morning, depending on the time of year, I think. Right? Yeah. Because she's 2 hours behind?
No, Arizona's 3 hours behind. They're Pacific time.
Yes, 3 hours behind, except for she's 2 hours behind when it's the winter, 3 hours behind during the summer.
And actually, am I misremembering, or is it only part of Arizona that doesn't do daylight savings? Is it the whole state?
I think it's the whole state. I don't know. Either way, it's dumb, and that shouldn't be a thing anymore. But, the Gulf of Mexico is more important. DEI hires is more important.
Yeah. With that, that'll probably do it.
I think that's a show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. Nope, sorry, it's YouTube. Spotify. All those places. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of it helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @one_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our Blue Sky is like one-quest or something like that. And our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. One of these days, I'm going to look up the Blue Sky actual handle. I'll do that. And our email address, social@one-quest.com. Now, Rich, what is your streaming looking like?
You can catch me streaming. It's at OneQuest, no hyphens.
Hey, thank you.
Yep. You can catch me streaming twitch.tv/me_walnuts. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays, where I'll be doing Monster Hunters, indie games, and Sea of Thieves is my general thing for a while. Probably starting in April, I'll cut Monster Hunter to once a week and do like a bigger game on Tuesdays and on Mondays and Tuesdays. But for now, we're just playing some Monster Hunter, just doing some hunts. I reached HR 100, so I can help you with everything you need while I'm doing my crown hunting. So come hang out.
Nice. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.
Bye.